Hey everybody, Kim from Dream Makers Farms. Today we are going to be canning potatoes. And these are white potatoes and we are going to be water bath canning them, and we're going to be using a dry canning method. So the first step to this is to cut your potatoes. Bear with me here, I'm a one-woman show today, so I am filming and cooking all at the same time. So bear with me here, okay? We're keeping it real here at Dream Makers. So here we go. Okay, so we're going to dice our potatoes, and we did this for all 10 pounds. Can you see? You can't see. Okay, that's as good as it gets, folks. So we're just gonna dice our potatoes, and these are just raw white potatoes. You can use red potatoes, you can use russet potatoes, whatever kind of potato you wanna use. And we just wanna make them bite size. Okay, bite size. So we're gonna cut up all our potatoes, bite-sized chunks, and just toss them into a big pot. Whatever you have, they are going to soak for about an hour. You're not gonna cook them at this point. You're not gonna do anything with them except let them soak. Okay? So you just wanna dice up all your potatoes. Hi again. So you're gonna wanna soak. Put them in a big pot. I have 10 pounds of potatoes in here. Follow me. So we're gonna put them in a big pot, and then, stay with me here, folks. We're gonna put them in a big pot. So I have 10 pounds of potatoes here, and we're gonna fill that pot up with water. Hold on, let's fill it up. My life would be so much more difficult if I did not have this pot filler. It is absolutely amazing. I love it so much. So we're just filling up our pot. And what this is gonna do, let me get it full here. Is these potatoes are going to sit in this water for an hour. Now, if you're using russets or a really starchy potato, you're going to want to let them sit for an hour, and then you're going to want to change the water, and then you're going to want to let them sit for another hour. So what this does is this is going to take all the starch, or a lot of starch, out of your potatoes. Okay, so I'll see you back here in an hour, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay, it's been an hour, and I have drained my potatoes. So I have just a pot of potatoes that I drained really well, and so they're pretty dry now. They're just my diced up potatoes. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to add a cup of melted butter. Now I use salted butter, Pampered Chef batter bowl. I love it because my handle never gets hot no matter how much I microwave in there. So I'm adding a cup of butter. You want to use real butter or ghee. You don't want to use margarine. You don't want to use anything that's oily. So no shortening, no margarine. Make sure it's real butter. So I just want to pour that over the top of my potatoes. And then I am going to add, this is just a mix of peppers and onions. I like this in ours, so I'm going to add it into my potatoes. You don't have to. It's just a preference for us. You can do your potatoes without. The only thing you do not want to add to your potatoes is meat of any kind, because we're water bath canning. Water bath canning does not build up enough heat for meat. So do not add meat to your potatoes if you're water bath canning. Okay, so I'm putting, I'm not gonna lie, these are frozen peppers and onions. They're a great value brand from Walmart. I just thawed them out, but this just pepper onion mix that you find in the frozen food section. So this is like a bag and a quarter of a bag. So I'm just throwing those in there. And then I am adding I love these little Pampered Chef spoons too, like they all nestle together. I am adding a half a teaspoon of pepper, just plain ground black pepper. And then I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of, it's just fine sea salt. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon. So I just got my half out here, so I'll just do 2 halves. And then because we get dirt down and dirty here, I'm just gonna mix it with my hand. It's so much easier than digging in there with a wooden spoon, and you can dig down into the bottom. So I'm just gonna mix it all up. You really wanna get this all mixed up well, because it's gonna go into your canning jars next. You just wanna get everything and your salt and your pepper down there really well. And you wanna get your butter coating all your potatoes. Okay, so one thing to remember, because we are cold packing our jars, is that you want your jars sterilized, but your jars do not need to be hot, and you're gonna put them into a cold canner. And because your jars aren't gonna be filled with liquid, you wanna start out with no water in your canner. Your jars are gonna float if you have water in there. So we have an empty canner to start with. We're gonna fill up our jars, put them in the canner. We're gonna put a plate on top to stop the jars from floating. If you have a heavy sauce plate or a heavy dinner plate, an old one that you don't use or not very often or whatever, throw that right on top of your jars so that they don't float around. And then fill up your canner so that you have an inch of water covering your jars. And then fill it up with water. All right, this is mixed up pretty good. Not afraid to get dirty around here, folks. All right, so now we're gonna fill our jars. I'm gonna tip my camera. Let me get my measure spoons out of the way here. I'm gonna tip just a little, guys. Sorry about the hand. All right, so we are going to just fill our jars. Sorry about the hand, guys. I'm a one-woman show around this place. So we are just going to pack our jars with our potatoes. And you want to leave 1 inch of headspace. So you know that the rim of the jar is 1/2 inch. So we want to stay about 1/2 inch below that. Pack them right down in there, good. I've got my ruler here to make sure. Get a couple more in there. Now you can do these if you have like a French fry cutter. You could cut these into French fries, however you wanted to cut them. If you wanted to cut them into like chip size. If you have a spiralizer and you want to cut your potatoes into curly fries, however you wanted to cut them, you could do it any way you wanted to. We like them cut this way with the skins on. You could certainly take the time to peel them if you wanted to. These are a nice option because you literally only have to take the jar, it's a little full, dump it into a frying pan and heat them up and eat. And we had these for dinner the other night. They were absolutely fantastic. And then my husband took leftovers the next morning and he threw some sausage in with them and had hash browns and sausage for breakfast. And they were absolutely phenomenal. And I spilled on the counter. It's okay, it's clean. Tuck them right in there. We're not glamorous around here, people. We just get the job done and it tastes good. I'm not a professional. I'm just a woman who's learning and wants to share what she knows. All right, so that's 3 jars done. I'm gonna finish these jars. I've got 4 more to do. And then I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'm gonna show you how to finish these jars off and get them in the canner. I'll be back in a minute. My hands are gross. So our last step before we go in the canner is to take your jars and take a napkin or paper towel and just wipe your rim with some vinegar. That's gonna remove any residue that's on the rim and make sure you're gonna get a tight seal with your lid. So you just want to wipe your lid, put your ring and your lid on, and you just want to do that fingertip tight. I just use the towel because it's wet because I had just sterilized my lids and rings. I'm just going to put it in my canner, which is empty right now because there's nothing in it except the jars. So I'm just going to wipe this last one down, put my lid and ring on, and just fingertip tight. And then I am going to pop it in my canner. So that is in my canner. I've got 7 jars in there. I'm gonna flip my camera so you can see a little bit better. So that is in my canner. So there's no water in here right now because the jars aren't heavy, so they will float because they don't have the liquid in them. And so what I'm gonna do is I've just got a plate. I'm just gonna pop a plate on top, and that will hold the jars down so that they don't float up once I add the water. So now I'm gonna add the water. I'm gonna put my top on. The water needs to be 1 inch over the top of the jars. Once I have that water in there, once the water starts to boil, it's gonna boil for 3 hours. Now it needs to boil for 3 hours so that your potatoes cook all the way. Once that 3 hours is up, I'm gonna turn my burner off, let it cool down a little bit, and take the jars out, and then our potatoes will be all ready to go. So we'll check back in 3 hours. See you then. So it's been about 3 hours and 20 minutes now. The potatoes are done canning. I just removed the last jars from the canner itself after they cooled down for a few minutes, and I'm gonna give you a peek at what they look like. So here they are. So these potatoes are fully cooked. They are ready to go. They are shelf stable for about a year, so you do not need to refrigerate them. They can go right on your pantry shelf, in your cupboard, and they are all set to go. You can reheat them on top of the stove, in your oven, in your air fryer, however you want to heat them up, but they are just ready to go. When my husband did his, one morning he tossed some sausage in there, and they were really good as home fries for breakfast. We cook them for dinner one night just as a side dish. You can, throw some meat in there and make a meal out of it. However you want to cook them that way. Like I said, we like the peppers in there. You don't have to put peppers in there. That's totally your choice when you make them. You can throw them in after as well. Throw some cheese on top. They'd be delicious that way too, as like a potato casserole. Lots of different options that you can go with. So it's all about how you want to make your potatoes. So really quick, easy dinner idea. I know there's a lot of nights when I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got meat out. What am I going to make for dinner? So this is a great option for you. Like I said, shelf stable for about a year. You can just heat and eat. So I hope everybody liked this video. Be sure to subscribe below and check out our other videos, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye.